Page 47.
Page 47. Alright, we will meet Gatsby for the first time. Now I need a volunteer. We're going to do some reading. We want to really think about Fitzgerald's language here and what he's doing. If he's trying to make us think that we should trust Gatsby or not. Alright, so Elizabeth, on 47, if you would start just with, I was still with Jordan Baker.
Okay. I was still with Jordan Baker. We were sitting at a table with a man of about my age and a rowdy little girl who gave way upon the slightest provocation to uncontrollable laughter. I was enjoying myself now. I had taken 2 finger bowls of champagne, and the scene had changed before my eyes into something significant, elemental, and profound.
Alright, I want to pause there for a second because in chapter 2, we heard Nick make a claim. And remember, we're supposed to trust Nick. But in chapter 2, Nick told us there was something he rarely did. And someone raised their hand and remind me, what did he say, Shakira? He rarely drank. Well, what did he doing here? He drank. And what do we think that line, the scene changed before my eyes into something significant, elemental, and profound? He's probably drunk, okay? So, that right there might call some of this memory into question. Nick tells us he never drinks, but now here he's drinking and it sounds like he's drunk. Alright, Elizabeth. Yeah. So in chapter 2 he said he'd only gotten drunk twice. So what time is this? Third. Alright. Elizabeth, do you want to keep reading or do you want to call on someone?
I want to keep reading.
Okay.
At a lull in the entertainment, the man looked at me and smiled. Your face is familiar, he said politely. Weren't you in the 3rd Division during the war? Why, yes. I was in the 9th Machine Gun Battalion. I was in the 7th Infantry until June 1918. I knew I'd seen you somewhere before. We talked for a moment about some wet, gray little villages in France. Evidently, he lived in this vicinity, for he told me that he had just bought a hydroplane and was going to try it out in the morning. Want to go with me, old sport? Just near the shore along the Sound. What time? Any time that suits you best. It was on the tip of my tongue to ask his name when Jordan looked around and smiled. Having a gay time now, she inquired. Much better. I turned again to my new acquaintance. This is an unusual party for me. I haven't even seen the host. I live over there. I waved my hand at the invisible hedge in the distance, and this man, Gatsby, sent over his chauffeur with an invitation.
Pause here for a second. Alright, so really quickly, sorry, really quickly, okay, one of those rumors was confirmed for us. Which rumor was confirmed?
American Army.
He was in the American Army. Now let's go back to that first exchange between them. Okay? What is the first thing that Gatsby says to Nick? Your face looks familiar. So what does that tell us?
He remembers a lot of stuff.
Okay, Gatsby remembers a lot of stuff, but specifically, what does he remember?
Nick.
And what was different about Nick than anyone else at the party? He kept reminding us.
Riley. Oh, wait, what?
Riley, what was different about Nick than anyone else at the party?
He was invited and he didn't know who Gatsby.
Okay, well, most people didn't know who Gatsby was, right? But Nick was invited, okay? And he kept mentioning that to us. Nick was invited. So now that we've met Gatsby and we realize that Gatsby knows Nick, what's the obvious connection here? Yeah. Okay, so Gatsby knew Nick, okay, which is kind of interesting because Gatsby's been this mystery the whole time, but it turns out he actually knew Nick. Alright, so we have one of the rumors confirmed, and we realize that Gatsby knew Nick, at least could recognize him. Alright, Dai, you can continue reading.
I thought you knew Oscar. I'm afraid I'm not a very good host. He's not understanding me. Much more than understanding me. It was one of those rest times the quality of internal reassurance in it that you may come across 4 or 5 times in life. It faced to seem to face the whole external world for an instant, and then concentrated on you with irresistible prejudice in your favor.
Alright, pause for a second. That line has a lot in it, it's kind of complex. Take about 30 seconds to talk to each other about what you think it means. Okay? That line that she just read, the first 3 sentences of that paragraph right here. Alright, so who thinks they have it? What does that mean? What do we learn about Gatsby here? John? Guy has it.
Well, I was agreeing with Emmanuel and Monica. They were saying that like his facial expression was really genuine, and it's not too often that when people apologize and for their behavior, they're actually genuine about it.
Okay, so he has a genuine facial expression, which, how should we feel about someone if their face, if the author wants us to know their face is genuine? Accept it. What else? If we think someone's genuine, if we think someone's honest, then how should we feel about them? They're good. We should, what did you say, Malika? Trust them. So we should trust Gatsby, okay? That's sort of what this is establishing, that we should trust him. Alright, continue reading.
It understood you just as far as you wanted to be understood. Believed in you as you would like to believe in yourself, and assured you that it had precisely the impression of you that at your best, you hoped to convey. Precisely at that point it vanished, and I was looking at an elegant young roughneck, a year or two over 30, elaborate formality of speech, just missing being observed. Sometime before he introduced himself, I got a strong impression that he was picking his words with care.
Alright, so was it just me, or did anyone else hear a shift in that paragraph? Angela, what shifted?
Like Gatsby's mysterious aura kind of went away. Like everything that he thought about Gatsby, the fact that he didn't know him, like all that power went away from his name once he introduced himself in a way. So then he saw him for who he was, and he started describing his physical traits versus describing what Gatsby stood for, since he already knew who Gatsby was.
Okay, good. So there was a moment when it shifts from a mystery to an understanding. And what does Nick seem to all of a sudden understand about Gatsby? After he gets past the smile, what does he understand?
That in a way, Gatsby's trying to impress him in a way, because he said he was picking his words carefully, and that he was being like extremely eloquent, like picking his words.
Okay. So he's picking his words carefully, he's being extremely eloquent, but what does that say about someone if they're using eloquent, sophisticated speech, but at the same time you can tell you're picking those words carefully? Someone other than Angela, what do you think? Okay, what you're hiding something. What could you be hiding, Riley? Okay. You don't know? Okay. But he's hiding something. So if you're trying really hard to sound sophisticated, to sound eloquent, what could you be hiding? Yeah, your past, but what about your past? Where you came from. Okay, because where is Gatsby now? He's rich. He's at the top. Okay, and we don't know his origin story yet, but if we can, if we have a hint that he's trying really hard to speak, then what can we assume about it?
Or not like that for what
Okay.
he didn't come up.
Okay, that he came from the bottom. He started from the bottom, and now he's here. So what other word in this passage really jumps out at us, telling us that maybe Gatsby has had a difficult early life? He says roughneck. What do we think that means? He works. Okay, roughneck. That he works. Okay, that he was making rough. Okay? That what? Okay, and what would he have to sell? If Gatsby got here by selling things, what would Gatsby have sold to get to this point? Alcohol. Okay, so maybe this idea, we didn't talk about that. I think we're getting this idea from the movie, but we know that this is what period in history?
What did you say?
Prohibition.
Oh.
That is prohibition. Alright, so we're getting some rumors that Gatsby is not who he says he is. Alright, pause for a second while I turn this off.